Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Dolly Velasquez, and I have been visiting with Pastor Terry Bates, who is the pastor of Faith Church, that beautiful church on the southwest side of I-40 and I-44. And we've been talking about feeding 5,000. Jesus did it over 2,000 years ago there on the hillsides of the Sea of Galilee, and you do it there on I-44 and I-40 every August as the children are going back to school. And so you give them the backpacks, and you also feed them. We've just been visiting about the man at the ranch. The name of the ranch is No Name.
That's right.
And he came and he said, I've got the meat. I want to provide the meat. Now that is the challenges of feeding 5,000 people is still, you may have all the meat,
right,
but Jesus performed a miracle as he broke the bread and the fish and it multiplied, but you actually have to cook the fish, the meal,
That's
the
right.
beef now. How do you do that? And what are the challenges, and how did you get people to help you with that?
When we started out in the beginning, we were doing patties, we were doing hamburger meat, and so we had all kinds of grills and people cooking everywhere. And then over the years, we began to make a transition to the burritos. It was a better usage of the meat, it cooked better, just a variety of things. So our Spanish ministry that was birthed out of this ministry from the first time we did it, all of the Latinos, the Spanish people, come at 4 a.m. in the morning on Saturday, and they have these big cookers on the south side of the building, and they cook all the meat, and then they have the ladies inside. We have 10,000 tortillas, so we make 10,000 burritos that day. And they're rolling the tortillas, so we look like a small Latino burrito
Mexican restaurant.
Going big time. And so it's fun to watch because originally the Hispanic people said, we'll take this part of the ministry, we can do this part. But as our Anglo people get in there and they want to learn how to cook and learn how to roll those tortillas, it's fun to watch.
I want the fun too, yeah.
So it's kind of exciting to watch this whole process. But
we say it lightly, 10,000 burritos. I cannot imagine the overwhelming task. And yet the people show up, the volunteers show up, and there's an attitude. What I saw from your videos, they're happy and they're having fun, and they're there bright and early grilling all that meat.
You know, it's something we tell them, you know, we have to start early to get ready. We open the doors to the public at 7:30, but people start lining up as early as 4:30 in the morning because they want to be the first ones through the line, get the resources. So we have to be ready for the crowd as they arrive. So it takes over 500 volunteers for us to do this, to have all the different stages. So we have a cook team, we have a team of parking people that are working with the parking and all the challenges with that, because you have to park all the cars for your volunteers, 500 volunteers, plus the people that are coming from the community. We have to have crowd control people. Then we have people inside the sanctuary that are making sure people get in and get out in the sessions. The stage team that's bringing the production. When they leave the production after they've had a chance to hear the story and even accept Christ, then all the way from our sanctuary to our gym, it's about 300 feet of hallway. And so we line the hallway with people. So it feels like a football team running onto the field, and we're cheering them on and celebrating them the whole way. And it's such an affirmation to them that they've made the right choice, that they're starting new with their life. And then they go to our gymnasium where all the backpacks and all the school supplies are actually distributed, and the food is distributed from there as well.
What must the need be like if families are lining up at 4:30 in the morning?
Right.
Even in August, it's dark at 4:30 in the morning. How wonderful that Faith Church is fulfilling a need that is so vital in our community. And Pastor, the way you're describing it, there is honor in what you're doing, and it's not demeaning to the folks. You are actually blessing them and saying, we love you, we want to show you God's love, and we want to show you in a tangible way as well.
Absolutely. We even tell people through our radio and different communication that this is not Faith Church's project. This is a city project, in the sense that anybody can bring anyone. So I say, be an evangelist. Knock on your door and say, hey, do your kids need some help with school supplies? Why don't you come with me, jump in the car, I'll take you down to the church, we're gonna have a meal, we're gonna see a fun presentation and get a backpack and school supplies. So about 50% of the people who come on our campus are being brought by personal evangelists, men and women on their job who say, I have a single mom, or I know a family that's struggling. I don't need it, but I want to bring somebody with me who does. We have people who come through this whole process, stand in the line for about an hour or so until they get to the sanctuary and say, we just want to see what your presentation is going to be like this year. We don't need any backpacks or school supplies. I just want to see what the story's like.
It looks so awesome. And this year the theme is Star Wars.
Yeah.
What are the backpacks going to say? Do you know yet?
We don't know. So we're trying to debate on what's going to be the most popular. We know there's several good choices out for this year.
Well, whatever it is going to be absolutely so terrific. Let me ask you this then. How do people become involved? 500 volunteers, and then people bringing the folks that are needing these school supplies. It's not just your congregation, your precious congregation. How can people become involved?
Well, we tell them they can call the office anytime, because obviously we start this several weeks out. I mean, we're getting school supplies as early as May, and we're beginning to sort them and package them and bundle them and get them in places where we need them to be. The most intense time is 2 weeks out, where we're setting up tents, we're setting up the lanes for people to be able to process, getting all the pieces ready, staging the school supplies. So they can just call the office 2 weeks before and say, hey, I'd like to be on a volunteer team. Some people can't be there on the Saturday because of maybe their time schedules, but they can work the 2 weeks before, staging and getting everything ready. And then, of course, if they want to work on that day, they come to a pre-event rally where they get a preview of the presentation. So everybody that's volunteering, they always say, I want to see the presentation, but I'm working in the gym or I'm working in parking. So we do a preview night for them. So all of our workers get to see the event. It's interesting that they can bring family and friends as well. And usually on our preview night, we see about 300 people accept Christ because they're just bringing their own family and friends just to see it on a preview night a few nights before. So it's pretty amazing to see what happens. But really, anybody can volunteer. We just ask them to come to the preview night. We ask them to invest in a shirt just so for security and identification purposes. But those proceeds are sewn right back into providing the backpacks and school supplies for kids.
So what are the qualifications for a person to volunteer? I would imagine the number one qualification is to love people.
Yeah, you got to be there because you want to. You got to be there because you care. And that's usually why people are there. And it's interesting, you know, a lot of people talk to us from the church and say, well, you probably really have a large increase of people because you shared the gospel with 5,000 people. And I said, well, we really don't. And here's the reason why. While we're doing the presentation, I always say to them, if you've accepted Christ today, we want you to go to a church somewhere where you already have a friend or a family. If you don't know anybody in this church, don't come back to this church, because you're more likely to stay in church if you go to church with somebody that you know. So every year, over 100 pastors contact me and say, somebody got saved at Feeding 5,000 and came with their family today. So this is not really us. It's really trying to help everybody. But we also offer a program for families where we give family resource packets so that 1,000 families can have the tools they need over a 30-day period. We call it a 30-day challenge to build a better family. So we give them the tools, the resources, some invitational opportunities to come back. But we want them to get in a church somewhere where they have a friend or a family. We want to be able to help strengthen those families any way we possibly can. So if you're interested in making a difference in the life of somebody, if you've got a smile on your face and a willing heart, you're a candidate to help us.
That is so good to hear. And now if people want to participate in receiving some of these supplies, they're absolutely free.
Absolutely free. You just have to come and show up. And like I said, we have a very efficient system. People think, oh, 5,000, that line is going to be horrible. But we have a very systematic flow. Usually nobody waits outside more than an hour. We're done by noon, so it's not in the August heat of the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So we start at 7:30. Every hour on the hour, we're offering presentations. So usually what happens, the tent fills up, and by the time it fills up, we're done with the presentation, we're moving the people in. So it's a constant flow of 5 presentations.
You've been doing this for 15 years, is that correct?
15 years.
So you have developed a wonderful system from what I've seen. Absolutely phenomenal. Talk a little bit more. What do you mean, the family packets and making families stronger? Because we've already established that 85 to 90% of all incarcerated individuals cannot read above the 3rd grade level.
Right.
You want to increase this. You want to make this, with the reading, the proficiency much better. And the children having the tools they need will help that.
Right.
But you also want to strengthen the families. How do you do that?
We put together a resource packet that's kind of a 30-day challenge, and so it involves a number of pieces. But one of the key pieces that I like in it is a particular Bible. And the Bible is not your typical Genesis to Revelation Bible, because probably most people either have one or they've seen one. what we came across was a Bible that instead answered family challenge questions. So it's designed for them to say, okay, I have a child that's on drugs. They can go to that section and say, these are scriptures that you need to think about how you can help your child change their behavior. Or my marriage is in trouble. I have an unfaithful spouse. So we've designed a resource that they can go to it and find scripture and counsel or direction that would help them through these steps. We even have resources of where they can go if they need family counseling that would be provided to them for free, either through our church or other ministries where, okay, our marriage is in trouble, we need help. We offer a series of parenting classes during that period of time. We have a class on how to drug-proof your kid, how to help your kids stay away from the inappropriate things on a smartphone. What do you do when your kids have access to pornography and all these things on their smartphones? How do you protect your child from that? How to strengthen a marriage that's been struggling. Maybe you've lost that fire, and how do you rekindle it? We put a movie in there. We call it Family Movie Night, and then we call it a date night packet for the couple to be able to have a date night. So during date night, we provide free childcare, so it's parents' night out. And they can drop all their kids off at the church and they can go out on a date and enjoy an evening together themselves. So we just put a variety of resources. And of course, we tell them about programs or classes that we have, but we also tell them about all the counseling programs and family programs that are available in the city as well.
Now, what do these families look like? I would imagine it might be the traditional husband and wife, but what are some of the other families? What would they look like?
There are a number of, obviously, ethnic groups. We're going to get all across the board from African American, Latino, Anglo, Asian, Indian.
Are they single mother?
There's a ton about single mother. About 50% of the people who come through are single parents. And that's reflective of our city, by the way. It's interesting that we keep trying to tap into this opportunity, but 50% of all the adults in Oklahoma City are single parent moms. So it's a huge market of opportunity for ministering to people, and they're struggling out there. And so
what
we can minister to them.
Do you find a lot of grandparents?
Thank you. There's a lot of grandparents bringing grandkids because those parents are either serving in the military or have been incarcerated or have just become non-functional parents, and those grandparents have taken over those kids. So the diversity is quite amazing, but obviously at the core, there's still a lot of those struggling moms and dads, and some of them who have jobs that are either trying to make it work, they're not unemployed, they're just underemployed in this economy and just don't have enough to make it happen.
Pastor Bates, this has been so wonderful to share the wonderful things that are going on in our city. And people can find out more information on your website, which is
okcfaith.com. So it's real simple.
Awesome. And we will be hearing more about feeding the 5,000. Thank you so much for joining us at Joy in Our Town. It has been our joy and our honor to be with you. And keep faithful and know that God loves you.